If you knew there were a handful of simple, specific things that were scientifically proven to help you to feel happier and more connected to the people in your life, would you do them? Today's video is going to walk through 5 incredible, actionable ideas shared in the book Flourish by Martin Seligman. But not only am I going to share a few things that he taught me, but I'm going to teach you how to actually make them happen using the organizational principles that we teach here at Learn to Become. So welcome. We all want to be happier and feel good and feel connected, but sometimes suggestions like think positive or be grateful feel a little difficult to actually implement. That's why I love this book so much, because I'm getting ideas that are things I can actually do that create a result. And I've already put several of them into practice and it's amazing. So I'm going to walk through the 5, show you how they work with the Command Central or the system that we teach here. And I guarantee you're going to be so excited. At least I hope you're going to be as excited as I am, because it's been awesome. Martin Seligman specializes in positive psychology, and he shares, if you were to sum up positive psychology in 2 words, it would be other people. Here's a quote from the book that I loved. Other people are the best antidote to the downs of life and the single most reliable up. Scientists have found that doing a kindness produces the single most reliable momentary increase in well-being of any exercise they have tried. Suggestion number 1 from the book is find one wholly unexpected act of kindness that you could do for someone tomorrow and just go do it and then watch your mood. This could be something like paying for the person behind you, or one man went to the post office and said free stamps, and he bought a bunch of stamps and gave them all out to everyone. But if you can just think, what's something that no one would expect but I could just do fairly easily, that's a quick way to boost the mood. If we wanted to know how to organize this, you could just go to your calendar for tomorrow and schedule it as an all-day task, meaning it's flexible, you can do it whenever you want. But here are a few other ways that you could use your organization system to make this happen more regularly. So first, you could create a weekly or a bi-weekly reminder on your routines list to do a kindness. So that would show up as you do your weekly review, or perhaps you could put some little alerts that actually do come to you as you're establishing the habit. One way you may already be doing this is having birthdays that are on the calendar reminding you to celebrate the friends in your life. Or you could have a goal sheet that you review at least once a week saying, hey, I have a goal to do more unexpected kindnesses for others. Or if there's something that might be a little more in-depth, you could create a project on your current projects list that would help you to do something that's really specific that would give other people a lift. Their second suggestion is to write a letter of gratitude to someone and then read it to them out loud. Now, I haven't done this one yet, but I did have it done to me. There was a student who lived close by, and she was taking a college course where they actually invited her to do this exact same thing. And so she said, hey, April, could we just set up a time either in person or on Zoom where I could read you my letter? And I was so flattered and grateful. I was a little embarrassed, but I said, oh, sure. So we got on Zoom together, and she just read this letter, basically just saying that some of the comments that she'd heard me making or some of the things that I'd shared had helped her in her life. And it was a fairly simple letter, but as I listened to her actually read it in her voice and felt the impact of that, both on her and on me, it was just this beautiful experience. So if you thought, oh, I want to do that, okay, you could write that as a next action. It could go on your next actions list in the home category to write a letter to someone, or on a computer. And then once it's written, you could text that person or call that person and say, hey, could we meet? Or can I read this to you? Just a beautiful way to not only boost your mood, but to be able to help someone else see that they matter to you. Suggestion number 3 is every night to ask yourself, what are 3 things that went well today and why? I love this idea because it's something that you could add to your routines list, okay? So it's your nightly thing, or you could even put a little note by your bed to remind you to do it. But as you're closing up the day, instead of focusing on, oh, how did I embarrass myself? Where did I fail? All that, you could say, well, what are 3 things that did go well? And the reason why they add the ask why is because then we actually need to think through, okay, what are some of the things that we did today that helped good things to happen, and how can we do more of that tomorrow and the next day? So this is something I've been working on as I go to bed. Maybe sometimes I do write it in a little journal, sometimes I just think it through. But that time for really positive reflection, it's really easy. It doesn't cost anything, doesn't take that much time, but try it. I think you're going to love it. Suggestion number 4 is to celebrate with your people. Often when married couples, for example, are not doing well, different counselors will teach married couples how to fight better, right? How to articulate their concerns, how to listen, that type of thing. And that can be helpful. But what the book Flourish suggests is that it's more important to learn how to celebrate together than how to fight well. And I was really intrigued by this and thought, okay, what are you talking about? So essentially, let's say that your spouse, or it could be a roommate or a child, someone that you're close to, comes home and says, hey, I just got this new promotion, right? Or I just found a great deal on this thing. And they're really excited about it. If you respond like, oh, well, negatively, like, man, you just wasted all that money, or about time, or something like that, you're not celebrating with them. You're actually bringing them down. So we want to learn how to positively respond and say, oh, that's amazing, but then follow up with another question like, oh, where did you find out about that? Or how did the person tell you got the promotion? Or how did you feel when it happened? Where you ask another question that invites them to share more. Now, when something great happens, they think of you and they want to celebrate with you. And that builds a lot of that positive trust and connection. So I've been working on this more, but I was talking with our daughter and she said, well, I don't want to sound not genuine and be like, oh, good job. And so we said, okay, we have to make sure that the way we celebrate really is authentic to how we would respond. So if it's not your personality to say, oh, that's amazing, that's okay. You don't need to say it like that. But being able to acknowledge when someone's really excited about something and think, how can I genuinely celebrate with them and let them know that when they're happy about something, I'm happy too. And if there's something that needs to be discussed, like budget or whatever, that maybe needs to go into it, that can be discussed at another time. But let's just celebrate, okay? And just bringing the command central back to that, or the organization system. If you can add that to a goals list that you review weekly, that's what we talk about, is having just some basic goals. Things like, I'm working on celebrating more. I'm trying to increase the quality of communication in my marriage or my family. Just that alone, and seeing that and remembering this tool, that's going to help you to actually make it happen. The final suggestion I'll share today, number 5, is increasing our ratio of positive to negative statements. So you've probably heard before that if you say something unkind to someone, you want to make sure you have more things that you say that are kind, so that this person doesn't see you as always being critical. So they actually have done scientific studies putting numbers to this. And they shared that inside of companies or organizations, if you have a 2.9 positive to 1 negative, that ratio is good for companies to flourish and do well. So it's pretty much like a 3-to-1, right? That you think, okay, for every 1 criticism I make, I need to be saying at least 3 things that are positive. But they said in a marriage, it's 5-to-1. You don't want 3-to-1. That's actually not good for a marriage. 5-to-1 is like the minimum. But then they shared something else really interesting. If it's 13-to-1, or like really high, like way positive and not enough negative, it actually doesn't work because the person doesn't trust you. Now they think you're just saying everything good about me, and there needs to be some balance there. So I personally am thinking like a 5-to-1 ratio, and I've been really working on that. I've added this to my daily routines list. Okay, so I review my list of routines every week, but in my daily section, it's to have at least a 5-to-1 ratio of positive negative. Here's how it's helped so far. For example, right now in our home, it's just me and Eric and our teenage son. And I find that often when I'm trying to be helpful, I'll say, oh, you need to do this, or that wasn't done well, or did you remember to shave, or whatever. I kind of have these things that I do that perhaps it's coming from a good place, but maybe it's kind of frustrating or annoying to the people who live with me. So I'm making a concerted effort that when I genuinely think positive things about the people in my family, I tell them. And I'm not trying to be weird about it. And I think they know Mom's a little weird. Mom loves me. But just making that effort, I've noticed a difference, because then my family is like, oh, thanks, And they realize that I really do appreciate them. You probably noticed that most of the suggestions that were made in this book, Flourish, are about how to connect with and have, better relationships with other people. And even though I'm on this side of the camera and you're on that side of the screen, I really do feel so grateful for the community that we have here at Learn to Become and for the ability that we do have to connect and strengthen one another. I really appreciate the comments where you share your insights and encourage one another. I'm so grateful for the chance we have to be here together. If you want to work with me and Eric more closely in our Arise community, we actually talk a lot about these topics that aren't just organization, but how do we wake up excited and go to bed content? And in the description, I'll include a link for a self-assessment where you can actually look at how things are going in the areas of your life that we focus on in Arise, and you can learn more. So grateful to have you here. I hope that you will check out the book Flourish, read it, it's amazing, and implement some of the things that we discussed today. I have confidence it will make a difference for you just like it did for me. So see you soon at Learn to Become.